My number one responsibility is this: profit. Every week in our executive meeting, I've got to report on one thing: profit. All right, I live and die by profit. That is my responsibility. Okay, so I'm the CEO, I'm the founder. I report on how is the company going in terms of profit. There are three core roles that you have. They are to make sure that you hit your profit targets, to bring in the right people, and then to create the right culture to support those people so that you can continue to amplify your movement. If you want to build a $1 million or multi-million dollar practice, there are only three roles that you need to focus on. Let's check it out. Let's dive in. Let's make sure that you embrace these. Hey guys, and welcome to today's podcast. Super excited. Today we're talking about the three roles that you must embrace if you're to build a $1 million practice or a multi-million dollar practice. And joining me today, I've got someone very special. I've got the king of cleverness and handsomeness. I have Sir Dave McDonald, General Manager and also Head of Coaching here at Practice Acceleration. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness.
I just said that you were the king of cleverness, and then you forgot.
That wasn't very clever at all, was it?
You've forgotten my name, haven't you?
Oh, of course not. Thank you, Tristan. So good to be back in the hot seat again.
That is my name.
Yes, that's very clever and handsome, Nick. Right?
Indeed.
What I love about today is you've got me in the hot seat, and we're talking about the three important roles.
Got you in the hot seat. You've got your tongue tied because you're super excited.
Yeah, I am. But three important roles to get you to $1 million or your next $1 million. I love this.
Indeed. Hey, so why don't we talk about why it's a big deal? So we're talking about the three roles that you need as a practice owner. Now, I know that you're thinking as a practice owner, well, like treating, my role is to treat, right? Hey, and you might still be treating and that's okay. And that's totally okay, all right? But there's three roles that you must focus on. There's three real core responsibilities that you have as a practice owner that you likely haven't considered, or you haven't considered them to be as important as they really are. And that's what we're going to talk about today, okay? So, Dave, why is this a big deal?
It is a big deal because we come across frustrated owners that are at this level. This is not owners that are just starting out. This is owners that have got some runs on the board.
Yeah.
They're fairly successful, but yet they haven't quite hit the mark yet to get to that $1 million run rate, or get frustrated that maybe their business is plateaued and they haven't quite got to that multi-million dollar run rate yet. Either way, they get frustrated because there's no traction. It's kind of less tire in the mud to the ambition that they want to get to. So they're so focused on achieving this end result.
I call it hybrid hell, right? So they're stuck in the mud, pushing hard, hustling harder. And like we talked about this yesterday, I'll share a secret with you guys listening right now. So we actually recorded this episode yesterday. And they didn't record.
I know.
Here we are again. So I remember one of the quotes from yesterday. So today's going to be totally different because I can't even remember what I said yesterday. Apart from this one thing, Marshall Goldsmith says, "What got you here will not get you there." Right? So if you think about a healthcare practice, if you're anything like me, I started from absolute startup from scratch and just learning my way through it and failing my way through it. Like I notice now, like having done this literally 2,876 times, almost 3,000 times, we've worked with practice owners now over the last 20 odd years. We notice that there's a real sticking point called hybrid hell. When people are around that $50,000 per month mark, it's hybrid hell.
Yes.
Right? Like you're too big to be small, and too small to be big. Yeah. You kind of like, so you're juggling all these hats and you're trying what you used to do in the past.
Yep.
So it's like, well, try what you used to do in the past, but do more of it or do it faster. And guess what? It doesn't work. Yeah. So if you think about like a spaceship or a space shuttle flying into outer space, when you want to go up to that next level, you let go of that fuel tank, right? Otherwise, you're not going to get to that next level of the atmosphere. So I want to talk about one of the breakthroughs you need to make in order to go from 50K per month up to that magic 83,000 per month mark, or even if you want to go up to 2 million or 3 million or 5 million or $10 million a year. These are the three core tasks you've got to focus on. So when you pay very close attention, when you do this, instead of being stuck in the mud, you start to get more traction.
Absolutely.
And instead of repeating the past and going faster and faster, you're actually doing it in a very different way. You're doing it in a new way. Yeah. And you're doing it in a way where you're full of energy and life really starts to change and you get the three freedoms. What are the three freedoms we promote?
Freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of headspace. Because right now, although they're chasing those things, they just really feel like they've got nothing to show for it. If we look at a few problems without having these three concentrated roles, then we know that they're not getting ahead. We want them to get ahead. We want them to show for it because right now they probably feel that they're not got nothing to show for it. More importantly, they start to exceed the expectations, or at least meet the expectations they set. Because right now, if they're stuck in this hybrid hell, then they're not necessarily meeting the expectations that they've set for themselves either.
Exactly. Can we challenge a belief?
I'd love to.
Let's talk about Kevin Costner.
Oh, Field of Dreams.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was thinking maybe we'll talk about Yellowstone, but now you've got my attention.
All right. Well, I just Kevin Costner.
What's the other one he's in? Dances with Wolves.
Dances with Wolves, or
Shame on me.
what was the other one that you said the other day that I forgot?
Oh, I'm Draft Day.
Draft Day.
And I couldn't find. I was actually looking to watch that last weekend. I couldn't find it anywhere on any of the streaming devices. It's absolutely amazing. Draft Day. Check it out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Kevin Costner. Let's talk about Field of Dreams.
So what I mean by Field of Dreams is, there's a great quote in there. It's like, I'll build it and they will come.
Yep.
And it's the misconception here, and what this relates to you is, it's like, oh, if I just hire people, then we'll get busier. If we just expand, if we just build more, or we just promote more, then we'll have more capacity.
Oh, yeah, it's interesting. Can I just jump in?
Yeah.
So this reminds me of one of our clients. We helped her to avoid making this terrible decision. So business was going great at this particular capacity, hit capacity,
That's right.
and whatnot. And then she was like, "Great, hey, I've got an opportunity to take on another lease, to rent another space. It is 4 times as big.
Ambition.
If I do that, great, I'm going to be 4 times as successful." We're like, dude, slow it down. Because she just reached capacity at quite a small venue and was using small business strategies.
Yep.
She did not have $1 million strategies in place yet was taking on this space that could potentially do maybe $2 to $3 million per annum if it was filled. But that's come into Kevin Costner, Field of Dreams. Build it and they will come. It won't happen, right? When you use the right strategy, then you will get the outcomes that then come from using that right strategy. And the thing is, the strategies you use at, say, we work at different levels of people doing, say, 10K a month, right up to $2 million per month and everything in between. If you're at 10 to 20K per month, it's a very different strategy when you're at 20 to 30.
Absolutely.
Which is different between 30 and 50, different between 50 and 83, different between 83 and 120, different between 120 and 180 and 180 plus. Very different strategies, right? So if you build it, you've got space, and then you've got space to fill, and we do not want that. So what I want to talk about right now is, what is your role? What are your 3 roles as a practice owner? And your core role is not treating.
Yes.
I'll tell you the top 3, shall we?
Let's do it. Dive in.
Number 1. So this is my role. This is your role. This is every business owner's role. And I'm just going to be super direct. So my number 1 responsibility is this: profit. Every single week, I meet with Dave and I meet with Sarah. Dave's our general manager, king of cleverness and handsomeness, even if he forgets my name on occasion. And Sarah, COO, and also my business partner. Every week in our executive meeting, I've got to report on one thing: profit. All right, I live and die by profit. That is my responsibility. Okay, so I'm the CEO. I'm the founder. I report on how is the company going in terms of profit.
It's the very first thing you look at every single week.
It is the number 1 thing I look at, because that is my responsibility as your responsibility as a practice owner.
We're all doing the best we can with the intel we have at this time, and you make key decisions for all of us and for the best of us.
That's right.
Based on the intel that you have right there and then, because you know what your responsibility is.
Yep. The success of a business is determined by its level of profitability. But I also want to say that I want to speak to this point, and it's interesting because in healthcare, I know that profit is sometimes looked at as a bad thing. I just want to speak to that point and say, you make profit when you do the right thing. When you do more of the right things, there's more of an exchange of money to give you money to say, thank you, you've done the right thing, therefore you make more money, right? So we look at profit and doing the right thing can and must coexist, okay? If you're making profit by doing a dodgy job, you're not going to be profitable for long, because people will find you out, and that flies in the face of everything we believe in. And when we work with healthcare professionals, we actually frame up very early. We interview people to join us, and we say, hey, we know that we represent 3 things: helping you to make more money, give you more free time, give you more headspace. But let me ask you this: do you actually like people? And that, for us, is a deal breaker if people aren't into people, right? Because you've got to love your team. You've got to love the people you serve, right? So number 1 is profit, okay? So I'm accountable to profit. You are accountable to profit. That is number 1. Mm-hmm. Number 2 is people. So my first task is I'm responsible for bringing the profits, okay?
Yes.
Number 2 is I'm responsible for ensuring that our organization employs the right people.
Yes.
Right? So
Right people doing right things at the right time.
exactly, putting them in their genius space.
Yeah.
Right. So it's interesting. Like in our organization, think about the key roles, right? Particularly with higher level roles that make a really big difference. I've been very heavily involved with the hiring.
Yes.
So Dave, I interviewed and hired you 4 years ago.
You did.
I interviewed and hired Sarah 15 years ago.
Wow.
Right. Who else on our team is quite senior right now? Max, Yeah. Michelle, John, Courtney. I'm busy focusing on the people, right?
Yes.
Because these are very important roles.
Yep.
So I know if I get the right people in the right seat, then we're able to do number 3, which is what, Dave?
Have the best culture.
Exactly. So I want to circle back. Number 1 is profit. Number 2 is the right people, okay? The right people so that we can do what?
Have the best culture.
And make the right profit,
Yes.
right? And have the right culture with the right people so we can do the right profit.
Yes.
So everything's about profit, yeah? In the right way, okay? Making profit with the right people with the right culture. So my role is with culture. Now, this is something really interesting, like how do you distill down culture? What does it mean? Everyone's got a different idea of it, right? But I like to distill down what are my core beliefs. And if we were to conduct ourselves in a way every single day, what would that look like? And what would we name these values?
Yeah.
So having our core values, and so we do define our top 9 core values. Now, I'll just share with you right now a couple of the top ones. So, accountability. Do what you say that you're going to do, okay?
Absolutely.
Number 2, speed. Success loves speed.
It does.
Yeah. All right. We want to make sure we're respectful as well. Like we're only as good as the next link in the chain. So we've got all these core values and we talk about what it looks like to uphold them and we give examples, but equally what it looks like when they're not upheld and then the impact.
Yeah.
Because if we bring in the right people, but we don't have the right culture, the right level of behaving and relating to one another, even the best person can have an awful time at work. And we do not want that. Like we want to have an environment where we've got the best people relating to one another, working together.
Yeah.
Because we cannot be dependent on one person being talented or 2 people being talented or 3 people being talented. The group, the whole is far more powerful than the one. And when we do that, we can make more profit, which means we can invest back more in our people. And it becomes this circle. So I said before, like it's about profit, people to make profit, culture to make people to make the profit. But if you think about that as a circle, then it feeds back into it. Then we can attract more of the right people. We can do more of the right things. Then we can amplify our impact. And we can help more people just like yourselves. And it becomes like this concentric circle that keeps moving outwards.
When you focus on those 3 things, I think that's when it gets really into the genius of being able to scale up performance before performance. You said about how it then expands.
Can you say that again? Because that is worth repeating.
Yeah.
Scale up the what?
So we want to scale up the performance before we scale up the performers. So what we've got as a great culture here is the interesting is what happens with our people, but more importantly, we've created a culture of what they're able to do without you being around, or what we're able to do without a key person being around.
That's amazing.
And I think what you just touched upon there is you've spoken about some of the DNA or some of the blueprints, such as values, principles, beliefs. But what it does do is it does 3 things for each person, or your culture is it allows them to the actions they take, the decisions they make, and the conversations they have with each other. We've created a criteria around allowing them to make the key decisions or have the right conversations or take the right actions without necessarily someone having to be around to direct them to take the action, direct them to have the conversation, or direct them to have the decision. I think that's what's a really underpinning element here is when you focus on these 3 things, such as the people and the culture, which enhances if you've got people doing the right actions, decisions, and conversations, well, that's all going to contribute to you making more profit, which is what we want to have.
I diggity dig dig dig. Do you dig?
Dig. I dig diggy, you dig.
Oh, I like that you dig the diggity diggity.
There's so many diggities.
I like that. All right, guys, so you're watching this, which I know you're watching or you're listening right now. I want to say there's 3 core roles that you have, okay? And you might also be treating right now, and that's also okay? Like you might want to treat a lot, you might want to treat not at all, you might want to treat a little bit. That's entirely up to you. But regardless of how much you're treating, there are 3 core roles that you have. They are to make sure that you hit your profit targets, to bring in the right people, and then to create the right culture to support those people so that you can continue to amplify your movement. Any final thoughts, Dave? Diggity dig dig dig.
You've just it's been a diggity session.
Oh, diggity dang.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. All right. So guys, big ask. Make sure that you please do this for us. I believe that by bringing this value to you, we're going to enhance your practice. We want to help the lives of all the practice owners out there. When we help more practice owners, here's what happens for us. Our culture is this. When we help you, we give you more information. You can make a transformation. And then guess what happens? You help your staff. And when you help your staff, you help more patients. So we want to enhance a level of healthcare out there globally in private practice by you clicking like and sharing our podcast. Because the more people that get this message, the more that they can elevate as well, the more that we can amplify. And then growth becomes cultural, not just in our organization, but in our audience, the people like yourself that we're interacting with daily. So we appreciate you for doing so. Please click like, click share. Appreciate you. We'll see you in next week's episode. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao. Arrivederci. Buonasera. Bon nuit. Guten Abend. Tschüss.